A few months ago, Amber saw wild jungles in her dreams, with various wild animals and beautiful birds in them. Travel to Africa, she couldn't wait. It was something new, something unknown. She had her tickets in her pocket, and just a few hours were separating her from her much-awaited trip. Amber gladly packed her suitcases, anticipated new experiences, adventures, and most of all, changes. Amber was really hoping the trip would breathe new life into their relationship. The relationship was with her husband, Greg. They had been married almost 2 years, but the once warm and passionate relationship now was more like two people distant from each other, just tolerating each other. They met at work. Amber inherited the company from her parents. She loved her job, so running the company was easy and natural. Greg was a designer who did his work well, but without any enthusiasm or creativity. Greg's projects were lifeless and void of energy and passion, but they were well thought out, so management raised no questions. As soon as Amber became the owner and runner of the company, Greg became interested in her. He was handsome, smart, took good care of himself, and made excellent surprises. For Amber, whose life was always going calmly, sometimes a bit boring, her relationship with Greg became a fresh breath full of energy and adventure. So when he proposed to her, she said yes without a second thought. Sometime later, their relationship drastically changed. He became distant, not as attentive, and was often angry without any real reason, and always found a reason to get upset. He spent less time at home and always said it was because of work or he needed to meet his friends. Since their relationship had gotten so cold, Amber felt like she was with a stranger, not Greg. Sometimes Amber wondered why she paid attention to him and why she married him. Every time, those thoughts made her doubt if they ever loved each other. However, she didn't want to fully admit to herself this and avoided those thoughts. She tried to do something every time to bring back their love and passion. This trip to Africa was Amber's idea to break their boring daily routine and bring something new, or wake something old up, to their lives. So everything was ready for the trip. Greg, as usual, found tons of reasons to be annoyed on the plane. The food wasn't right. The flight attendant looked at him wrong. Overall, if Greg wasn't being quiet, he was judging something or someone. Amber sadly exhaled and thought, I hope it wasn't for nothing. After a 15-hour flight, Amber and Greg finally arrived in the capital of the Congo. They then took a bus to a village with a tourist camp. Amber looked at the beautiful savannah excitedly the whole trip. If she was able to see anything, she would rock in her seat like a delighted child. What can you say about Greg? Well, he, like usual, didn't like anything. He didn't like their guide. He didn't like the other tourists, and his look showed his distaste for everything. Amber tried to reach Greg, to get him to see the surrounding beauty, and asked him to get himself together and try to think positively. All Greg did was stay quiet and then quickly fall asleep. Amber was sad and didn't enjoy the views as much anymore. She realized that this trip wouldn't change anything. Her husband changed, but she didn't know what caused these changes. The first night at camp wasn't relaxing for Amber. She kept waking up thinking about Greg and how there was some impasse between them, and then laughed at herself for being so naive, thinking that this trip could change something. The next morning, Greg, Amber, and a couple other tourists went to go see a local site, a waterfall that was deep in the jungle. The bus took them to the trees, but they had to walk after that. The tourist route went along a fairly narrow path in the thick plant life. Amber loved every butterfly and beetle she saw on the walk and didn't miss a single flower, taking pictures of all of them, trying to get Greg involved. However, he walked in silence, not looking at his wife, and rarely saying anything. He showed no happiness or excitement from what he saw. Suddenly, there was a scream behind them, and Amber and Greg turned around. The guide running up to them said a woman in the group got sick, and she would be going back to the bus with another couple of the tourists. They could go with them or continue on the path. The waterfall wasn't far away, they just needed to stay on the path and not wander. So the couple decided to continue. Amber tried to start a conversation, but it was like he didn't hear her, so they walked in silence. Finally, she couldn't stop herself and said, "Greg, tell me what's going on. Why are you always looking for a reason to be upset or quiet? It's like you hate me. Is it because I didn't make you my deputy? Or is there another woman?" Amber was scared of the last question. She was afraid of his answer. However, after a pause, she thought Greg would just be silent again. "We're here," he said suddenly. Amber turned around and wanted to remind him of her questions that were unanswered, but the waterfall drew her attention. It was so beautiful. The water flowed down beautiful rocks into a lake. The grandeur of nature, the noise of the water, and the rampaging greenery and beauty hit Amber so hard, she was speechless. Greg climbed on a rock. "Let's get closer," he told her. They went up to the edge of the small opening. Amber looked down. "I don't love you. I've never loved you," Greg said suddenly. "I only married you for your money and a hope to quickly advance my career." Amber was shocked by what he said. Greg didn't stop. "But you good for nothing, didn't give me anything at all. Yes, there's another woman and you know her. It's Alice from marketing. We love each other and she's pregnant with my child. Now, I'm going to take everything I'm owed from you." Amber suddenly looked at the rock Greg was spinning in his hands. She felt uneasy and in mortal danger that was coming from her husband. She realized that he wanted to kill her. "Hey, you don't have to do this. Let's go back to the bus. I'll give you money. Just don't." Then Greg hit her hard in the head with the rock. She fell off the ledge into the lake. When she came to, she tried to call for help, but the noise of the waterfall didn't give her a chance to be heard. Somehow, she got to the edge and passed out. During that time, Greg ran to the bus. He got there and said in tears and hysterics that his wife had fallen off the edge and that he couldn't help. It's not clear if the hysterics were an act or because he realized what he had just done. When the group tried to get him on the bus, he suddenly jumped and ran towards the jungle. Amber came to and someone was dragging her by the leg. Her body screamed from the scrapes from hitting rocks, bushes, trees, and grass. She tried to look around, but it was dark. When she could finally see, Amber was paralyzed by what she saw. A huge gorilla was dragging her by the leg. She wondered why she hadn't died from Greg's strike and why she didn't drown in the lake. The gorilla stopped and let Amber go. She laid there, scared to move. Suddenly, she heard a noise and strange sounds, and another couple of gorillas came out and stopped a few feet away. She just sat and watched when their companion pulled Amber to the side, smelled her, and beat his chest, making a terrible roar. At another prod, Amber screamed in pain. This excited the gorilla, who raised a fist ready to punch. However, one of the other gorillas ran up and blocked Amber. It beat its chest, roared, and it hit its unruly counterpart. Making an even louder and scarier roar, the unruly gorilla went away with the observer in tow. Amber was left with the gorilla that just saved her. It sat next to her and just looked at her. Amber started telling the ape that she was in pain and wanted to go home. Suddenly, the gorilla roared, terrifying Amber before running off somewhere. It returned soon, throwing Amber a couple of bunches of bananas before going into a cave. Amber soon heard a sound like snoring. After eating, Amber went into the cave and lay down. The cave was cold, so Amber lay close to the gorilla. She fell asleep quickly from exhaustion. She woke up after being poked in the side again. The ape indicated that Amber follows it. It seemed like they were following endless cave tunnels, but for some reason, Amber wasn't scared of the giant animal. Moreover, she was sure it wanted to help, so she followed it silently. Suddenly, they came to a light in the cave, and the girl ran into two men turning a corner. They were rescuers. When they saw the gorilla, they aimed their weapons at it, but Amber rushed forward, defending the gorilla, saying, "Don't shoot!" She blocked the gorilla, which made the rescuers wonder what was going on. The gorilla used the pause to retreat into the cave. Amber learned from the police that Greg was dead. Locals saw him in the jungle. He had tried to cross a river using a fallen tree but slipped and fell. A crocodile attacked him in the water. Amber thought about the past 2 days and couldn't believe what had happened. Her husband had tried to kill her. She was captured by a gorilla, then saved and led to safety by a different gorilla. and her husband was eaten by a crocodile. It felt like a movie, not real life. When she got home, Amber handed over the company to her friend and tried to get herself together. She fired Alice but gave her a good severance for her child. After what happened, Amber had constant nightmares, so she went to a psychiatrist. Because of her therapist's advice, she got a dog that she loved taking on walks to the park. During one walk, a young street artist walked up to her and gave her a package. When she opened it, she saw her portrait. She looked at it, then the artist, and smiled. They started to talk. That trip really did change everything. Not the way Amber expected, but in the way that she needed.